Here we go again. Stand by for Alan's next instalment of how to get wet, cold and miserable. Well, I didn't get around to filming my road trip. We've already done half a day. I haven't had a chance to even get the camera out. Somebody gave me some advice at the weekend and said the best survival tactic you can do is stay at home. And I'm beginning to think they were right. It's priority one. Get some bloody shelter. Get dry. And I don't think there's going to be a fire at this rate. Oh. You could say knackered. Been lugging a £40 pack around. It says Queen Elizabeth Forest. It should say Queen Elizabeth Swamp. Now, it could be a sump. It's full of flipping black sticky stuff. Been off-road a couple of times. Won't be going off-road too far again. Took me 2 hours of wandering around before I found somewhere reasonably dry. And this is it. Oh. Starting to come down with sleet, but managed to get my tent up and a tarp. Got no water though, which is why I'm hoping it keeps running, because I'm trying to fill my pot up. To be honest, I'm quite looking forward to just getting in my sleeping bag and getting warm, which may be the case, and then see if I can find anywhere better tomorrow. But this is as good as it gets today. I just sat down quickly before I settle into the tent. I thought I'd make myself a hot soup to try and warm myself up. Look at that, eh? I got the pan, got the burner going. What more could we want? Apart from the fact I've just gone and sat on my cup and broke it. So all I can do now is, I guess I'll just have to cook it in the pan and eat it with a spoon. So we're off to a good start. We've only been here about 8 hours and we've already broke one piece of equipment. So that's no good to me anymore. Wonderful. Better switch this off, because guaranteed that I'll probably set the tent on fire otherwise. Right, here we go. There's me cup. Simmer for 2 minutes, it says. Now then, short spoon, deep pan. How am I going to get that out of there? Big cup. I'm sure morale will be back up when we finish this. That's if anybody else is going past in the woods, they'll think I've gone mad and I'm talking to myself. Let's give it a go. I think I had a bit too much water in. A bit watery, but it'll do. Now you see, in all these survival films, they go out and they collect all their stuff and then they cook it, and then they sit there, look at the camera and go, that is lovely. What a load of shit. Is it bollocks lovely? It's like this, it's tap water that tastes of something toxic. What main thing is it's warm. It's cheering me up. and while it's working its way down to my cold feet, I shall get myself in bed and read a good book. There. It's still not lovely. What it'll do. Morning. Except it's not a very good morning. The snow's been coming down all night and I've just barely managed to keep warm in the sleeping bag. Everything's wet in here. The snow's been dropping from the trees every few seconds, making a very loud noise on the roof, and I'm not quite sure what it's like outside, so I'm going to stay in my sleeping bag, stick the camera out and have a look and see what I can see. I'm gonna zip back up again. Oh. And have a look at this bit of film, see what's happening out there. As it stands, it might be that we have to abandon the trip. There's not much point staying here if we can't get out of the tent and do anything. We'll see. Well, there we are. Whoops, nearly fell down a hole there. So, it's not looking good. It's forecast another 24 hours of this and then freezing conditions. So we ain't going to achieve what we want to achieve, so we're going to pack up and get out of here. The first rule of survival, don't put yourself in a survival situation in the first place. And at the moment I'm warm enough. I'm just put wet clothes on, so I'm a bit damp, but I'm dry enough. Just get packed up and move on back to the car and admit defeat. Of course, if we had to stay out here for the next 6 weeks, then we'd manage. But there's no point managing when, as my good friend Paul says, why leave a nice warm house to go outside and freeze your bollocks off? Good point, Paul. Let's have a look. One of the problems I've been experiencing all night is the branches dropping out of trees and hitting the top of the tent. I'm just hoping nothing too heavy falls on it while I'm out here, or on me even. Yeah. And you see my old tarp shelters sagged underneath the weight of the snow. I'm hoping to use that space under there to pack my gear away. Having said that, it's beautiful out here. It's just a shame that I would have to spend the day probably sat in the tent trying to keep warm for the next 24 hours. Look at that, snug as a bug in there last night. Almost. Maybe a bit of exaggeration there. Right, I'm going to take a couple of pictures and then we're going to start packing away.